Ilia Topuria should be the #1 pound for pound fighter in the world. What's up, boys? We are back, and today I will be giving you my case on to why I believe that Ilia Topuria should have #1 next to his name in the UFC pound for pound rankings. And I know that may be crazy, that may sound crazy, you may call that a hot take, but I truly believe that, and I hope that what I am going to say in this video will maybe influence your opinion just a bit. The first thing we're going to do in this video is we're going to compare their best wins. First off, we'll start off with Ilia Topuria. I'll put them side by side so you can see them. There's both of their best wins on screen right there. Ilia Topuria's best win, Volkanovski. When looking at that loss, a lot of people discredit that win. A lot of people discredit that win for Ilia Topuria. They say, oh, Volk just got chinned 4 pay-per-views earlier. Volk's chin was affected. I don't believe Volk's chin was that much of a problem heading into this fight. I don't believe that Volk got knocked out solely because of his chin. You look at the first round of that fight, Volk was able to take some of the shots that Ilia Topuria was shooting at him. Volk was able to take some of those shots. Ilia Topuria found the correct shot, the correct timing, and the correct moment. And we know that was not just a 1KO fluke from Ilia Topuria, because you want to know what Ilia Topuria did his next 2 fights? He knocked out the best chin in UFC history, and he knocked out Charles Oliveira. It was not a fluke. Ilia Topuria, this win is fully Ilia Topuria's win, dude. He beat Alexander Volkanovski in that second round by a vicious and brutal KO. Then we'll look at Islam Makhachev's best win, Volkanovski. He beat Volkanovski as well. Both of their best wins are Volkanovski, alright? Islam went life and death with Volkanovski, though. Islam struggled with Volkanovski. Islam went through so much adversity with Volkanovski. I don't count that second fight. That second fight just should not be counted whatsoever. It was Volk 1 week notice, fat. Volk looked horrible in that fight. It wasn't even the fact that he just got beat. Before the knockout, he just did not look good at all. And that's just a fact, dude. That second fight does not count at all. You can't count that. You literally just can't count that, dude. That doesn't count as a true win. Maybe as half a win I'll give you. I don't even count it as half a win. It does not count as a win. The first win counts, but you also got to understand that Islam Makhachev struggled with Volk in that first fight. He really did struggle with Volk in that first fight. Meanwhile, Ilia Topuria chinned Volk in the first round. Sorry, the second round. But you get what I'm saying here. Then we'll go to their second best wins. Ilia Topuria's second best win, Max Holloway. Max Holloway is Ilia Topuria's second best win. I believe that. Max Holloway is a decorated featherweight, one of the best featherweights of all time. 4 title defenses for him, and we've seen what he did to him too. Max looked great in that fight. You cannot say that that was a bad version of Holloway either. Max Holloway was doing so well in those first 2 rounds. He lost both of those first 2 rounds as well, but he still looked good in those first 2 rounds. He still looked like the Max Holloway we all know and loved. And then he got chinned. He got knocked out brutally by Ilia Topuria. Ilia Topuria dominated Max Holloway, as much as I hate to say it. We'll go to Islam Makhachev's second best win, a 38-year-old Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier, he's never even won a title. I'm sorry to be that guy, but Dustin Poirier has never won a title, and that's just a fact. At the end of the day, Dustin Poirier is one of the greatest of all time to never win a title. He's never won a title, and Islam Makhachev was busted up. Islam Makhachev was cut brutally, and he was looking really, really bad in that fight against the 38-year-old Poirier in some instances. People thought that Islam was just going to roll past Dustin Poirier, and that did not happen. He went to war with him, and eventually he got the finish, but it was nowhere near a domination for Islam Makhachev. Then we'll go to the third best wins. Charles Oliveira is Ilia Topuria's third best win in my opinion. He flatlined Charles in the first round, did not face any adversity whatsoever. That was a pure and utter domination from Ilia Topuria. Then we'll go to Islam's third best win, Charles Oliveira. Obviously, he faced some adversity in this fight, but he still got it done in that third round. And you can argue that, well, it wasn't prime Charles. It was a little bit more washed Charles. I mean, Islam fought the best version of Charles we've ever seen. And Ilia fought Charles, who is still coming off a win, by the way. And before that, went life and death with Arman Tsarukyan, a young and upcoming prospect. So how washed could Charles be? Because Ilia Topuria decimated Charles Oliveira. Arman Tsarukyan went life and death with Charles Oliveira. How far ahead of everyone else is Ilia Topuria? Islam Makhachev struggled with Charles Oliveira in some instances. Charles Oliveira is not washed. He's still not washed. Ilia Topuria, although it may not have been the same version of Charles Oliveira that Islam was fighting, he still decimated him. He did not struggle once in that fight. Islam Makhachev struggled in that fight. He had some moments where Charles Oliveira was doing his clinch work. Charles Oliveira, in some instances, was using his grappling to his advantage. And Ilia Topuria, when you look at his best wins, he's winning these fights by total and utter domination. When you look at Islam Makhachev's best wins, he's winning these fights with a lot of adversity. You have to understand that. Now we'll look at their decent wins. You know, they're kind of if he wins. Ilia Topuria's if he wins are Josh Emmett and Bryce Mitchell. Meanwhile, Islam's best if he wins are Moicano and Dan Hooker. That Dan Hooker win has obviously aged beautifully. The Moicano win has obviously aged pretty bad. Now he lost to Beneil Dariush. Moicano did what he should against Moicano. He did what he had to do. He submitted him in the first round. Meanwhile, Beneil Dariush, he obliterated Moicano last night, and that win has kind of aged badly for Islam Makhachev. Dan Hooker, obviously that win's aged good. Like I said before, he's coming off a lot of wins. He just beat Gamrot in a robbery, but it's still Dan Hooker at the end of the day. 12 other people have beat Dan Hooker, and I understand Islam Makhachev steamrolled past these people. He beat him in the first round, but so did Ilia Topuria, because you look at Ilia Topuria's kind of if he wins. Josh Emmett, someone who has fought for the title before in his career, whether it be an interim or not, he still technically fought for a title. Josh Emmett, Ilia Topuria 50-42 this guy. That is not a joke. A judge had the fight 50-42. That is not a joke. 50-42, one of the most one-sided fights in UFC history. A judge had a round in their fight 10-7 for Ilia Topuria. You know how many 10 rounds there have been in UFC history? Like 3. A judge had Ilia Topuria 10-7ing Josh Emmett. That speaks for itself. Then Bryce Mitchell. Bryce Mitchell versus Ilia Topuria was a one-sided beatdown. Bryce Mitchell jiu-jitsu is his main weapon of choice, and Ilia Topuria uses jiu-jitsu and sat down Bryce Mitchell, obliterated his face. His face was all busted open, and obviously submitted him later in the round. Ilia Topuria, I just feel like, is dominating these wins so much more than Islam Makhachev is. Islam Makhachev, obviously he dominated Moicano and he dominated Dan Hooker, but you look at the context behind these wins for Islam. Volk won. Okay, that's a fair win, dude. You want life and death with him. You still beat him. The second one does not count. 38-year-old Dustin Poirier, who was literally one fight before his retirement fight, went life and death with him. Charles Oliveira faced some adversity in that fight. Good win. Ilia Topuria's best win. Steamrolled Volk. Steamrolled Holloway. Steamrolled Charles Oliveira. I truly believe the pound for pound number 1 ranking belongs to Ilia Topuria. I'm not going to hate you if you say Islam Makhachev is a pound for pound number 1. I just need you to understand that this is super close and it could go either way. It could. Literally. It's just about preference. It is simply about preference. Whoever you think deserves a pound for pound number 1 could be the pound for pound number 1. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. Ilia Topuria has cemented himself as one of the greatest fighters of all time, and that's a fact. Islam Makhachev obviously has done that as well, but Islam Makhachev, he's doing that with a little bit of adversity. And you also got to think about how Islam Makhachev technically isn't a champion. I know I hate to be that guy throwing technicallys, but Islam's technically not a champion, dude. He's vacant. He's not holding no title anymore. And if Islam goes up, he beats JDM, well then yeah, that's fair. Call him pound for pound number 1. But isn't it crazy how Ilia Topuria was able to become a double champ or a multi-division champion faster than Islam Makhachev? Islam Makhachev has talked about becoming a double champ for the last 3 years. Ilia Topuria wasn't even known 3 years ago. That's crazy, man. But now I'm going to be giving you guys my updated pound for pound rankings. These are just my opinions. This is just how I feel. And yeah, let's talk about it. First off, we're going to start off with number 15. This might upset some people. I have Movsar Evloev as the pound for pound number 15 fighter. I do believe that. I believe that Movsar Evloev, although he can't finish a fight, the pound for pound rankings aren't based on your finishing ability. They're based on your technical ability. And Movsar Evloev has picked up wins over guys like Diego Lopez, Arnold Allen, Dan Ige, and even freaking Aljamain Sterling, a former champion, a champion with 3 title defenses, by the way. Movsar Evloev deserves to be here. That's just a fact. Number 14, Khamzat Chimaev. Khamzat Chimaev is probably the best fighter in the UFC to not win a title ever. And Khamzat Chimaev is so good. He's probably going to be champion in just a couple months. That's just my opinion, though. And he deserves to be here, dude. Khamzat is so good. He's picked up wins over Whitaker, Usman, Gilbert Burns, and a couple other guys. His resume is already insanely stacked at such a young age, and I think Khamzat is just going to be probably pound for pound number 1 in the future. He deserves to be in the pound for pound rankings. Number 13. For number 13, I do have Arman Tsarukyan. Arman Tsarukyan, that is a real thing. That is a real thing. Arman Tsarukyan deserves to be here. He is the number 1 contender in the best division in the UFC, 155. He should have arguably been fighting for that title last night at UFC 317, and he beat Charles Oliveira. He beat Charles Oliveira. And that's a fact. He's picked up wins over a couple other guys like Beneil Dariush. Picked up wins over a lot of guys in the division. He's been in the division for a while. Really, his only loss, he doesn't really have an only loss. That's the thing, you know. Gamrot his only loss technically. And does Gamrot really count as a loss, dude? That was a really close fight. I do believe that Arman Tsarukyan won that fight against Gamrot. I believe Arman Tsarukyan deserves to be here. Number 1 contender. He should be fighting for the belt next. I do not want to see Paddy Pimblett fighting for a belt in 2025. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I just said event. Number 12, Max Holloway. Obviously, like I said earlier in the video, he's a former champion. Former champion with 4 title defenses. One of the best featherweights of all time. He deserves to be here. Although he's coming off a loss to Ilia Topuria, it's Ilia Topuria, dude. That loss is not aged badly. That is not a bad loss to have on your record, especially after what we've seen Ilia Topuria just go out and do. You know, Ilia Topuria is haunting Max Holloway's dreams. Max Holloway moved to 155. Ilia Topuria said, "I'll meet you there, bud." Yeah, I'll meet you there. He followed Max Holloway up to 155. He might chin Max Holloway at 155 as well. Number 11, Belal Muhammad. Belal Muhammad is obviously a former champion. Ragdoll Leon Edwards. He was on a crazy winning streak before his last loss. I rate Belal Muhammad a lot. I think Belal Muhammad is a very good fighter, although that he's kind of on iffy circumstances right now after that JDM fight in which he did not look the best in. I think he deserves to be here, dude. Belal Muhammad, he is here. His wrestling is great. He has hands like Canelo. Bang. Number 10, Pereira, obviously one of the greatest fighters in UFC history. I have him in my top 20. He's kind of fallen off after his last fight to Magomed Ankalaev. Who cares, dude? Magomed Ankalaev is not a bad loss to have on your record. Obviously, we'll talk about Magomed Ankalaev, who I have a lot higher up than Pereira, which makes sense. Pereira, dude, this kid was about to be pound for pound number 1, and now he's barely in the top 10. That's just my opinion, dude. He's a former champion with multiple title defenses, 3 title defenses. He's a 2-division champion. He deserves to be in the pound for pound rankings. Number 10, in my opinion, is going to be Jack Della Maddalena. Now we're getting to all the champions. In my opinion, Jack Della Maddalena is the least proven champion in the UFC, and that's not an opinion, really. That's just a fact. You know, he's only has one. He's the only champion who's just recently won their belt and has not defended a belt in their whole UFC career, you know? So that's just my opinion, dude. I understand that JDM is pretty good. He's on an 18-fight winning streak. He's picked up wins over a lot of guys in the division like Kevin Holland, like Gilbert Burns, and obviously like Belal Muhammad. But he's just a little bit more unproven like the rest of these guys, so that's why he's here. Number 8, I have Dricus Du Plessis. I don't think Dricus is that good. Dricus is not that good, dude. I don't know where we got this narrative from. Sean Strickland twice, that's an okay win. Izzy, washed Izzy, okay win. He's probably going to lose to Kamsa in just a couple months. He's not great anywhere. He's just decent all around. I wish we were still with the narrative that Dricus Du Plessis is just a bad fighter, because I truly believe he's just a bad fighter. He should not be a champion. I don't know how Dricus is a champion. He's good, but he's not. I know I'm going to get hate comments. I think Dricus is a good fighter, and I understand. I'm just joking when I say that Dricus is a bad fighter, but he should not. How? If you show this guy, he's comparable to some amateurs, dude. He closes his eyes when he punches. I'm sorry. The next guy I have is Tom Aspinall at number 7. If Tom Aspinall was the undisputed champion for literally just a couple months longer, maybe I'd give him that. If he beats Cyril Gane, he'll probably be in the top 5. Tom Aspinall is the best heavyweight we've ever seen. That's a fact, dude. I think a lot of people confuse best with greatest. You know, the difference between, we're talking about the GOAT debate. When someone says the best fighter ever, that is the most precise, that is the most technical, that is the best MMA fighter ever. When someone says greatest, that is the most accomplished, that is the most title defenses. There's a difference between best and greatest. When someone's making their best MMA fighters of all time versus their greatest MMA fighters of all time, those are two different things. Tom Aspinall is the best heavyweight of all time. He's the quickest, the fastest, the most precise. He has the striking, he has the wrestling. That's why Tom Aspinall's here. And yeah, even no title defenses technically. If we're not counting that IC title defense against Curtis Blades, he technically has no title defenses, but he's still number 7. Number 6, Volkanovski. Volkanovski, dude, obviously disregarding those 2 wins to Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev, which is a pretty big thing to disregard. He's still here, dude. He's still one of the greatest featherweights of all time. In my opinion, the best featherweight of all time. Who cares about those 2 losses, man? We can toss them off to the side, dude. Volk's still that guy. Volk's a great fighter, obviously, and he just came off winning Diego Lopez, broke the 35 and older curse, like someone else who we'll see a little bit later on this list. And I think Volk deserves to be here, dude. Although he got shinned twice. Who cares, dude? He's still one of the best to ever do it in the featherweight division. And just overall, dude, Volk's top 10 of all time. I don't care. Number 5, Magomed Ankalaev. Magomed Ankalaev, I think a lot of people don't talk about how good this guy is. Magomed Ankalaev is probably going to destroy Alex Pereira in the rematch. Magomed Ankalaev, I think if this guy packed on a little bit more muscle, he could go up to heavyweight and beat Tom Aspinall. That might be a hot take. But Magomed Ankalaev, this guy has beaten most of the division. He has to beat a couple more guys like a Carlos Oberg, like a Yuri Prochazka, and basically that's it. Maybe a Khalil Roundtree you can sneak in there. But once he does that, dude, I think Magomed Ankalaev will probably become a double champ. It depends how that Tom Aspinall fight goes. But I do expect to see Tom Aspinall versus Magomed Ankalaev sometime in the UFC. I rate Magomed Ankalaev. I think that Pereira win is a very good win to have on your record. And he's probably going to have 2 wins over Pereira by the end of his career, because we're probably going to see Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev too. Maybe by the end of the year or early next year. Number 4 for me is Merab Dvalishvili. Really, a lot of people are talking about Merab like he should be number 3. I believe someone else should be number 3, and that person who should be number 3 fought last night. I think you guys know who that is, but we'll talk about Merab a little bit more. Merab's not that good, okay? No, that's a joke, dude. I'm joking. He's the bantamweight GOAT. I understand Merab's good. Merab is really good, but you look at his wins, you know, it's a favorable matchup to Sean O'Malley to win the title. Then he had Umar Nurmagomedov. That's a really good win. Beating a Dagestani like that, devastating fashion, dominant fashion. That's a pretty good win. It wasn't even dominant fashion. Merab's emos just make his fights look like they're dominant. And then, yet again, he defended his title against Sean O'Malley. Another easy stylistic matchup. Merab, dude, I understand. You're literally probably the 5th best fighter or 4th best fighter in the UFC right now. But the next 3 guys are really good. They're really, really good. The next 3 guys. Number 3, Alessandro Pantoja. If I wake up Tuesday morning and I do not see Alessandro Pantoja minimum top 5 in the pound-for-pound rankings, I'm going to be mad. This guy has 4 title defenses in the span of a year and a half. Put some respect on this guy's name. He's one of the most active champions in the UFC. He's one of the most dominant champions in the UFC. He embarrassed Kai Kara-France, like I said last night, and he's only a couple more wins from surpassing Demetrius Mighty Mouse Johnson. Put some respect on Alessandro Pantoja. He deserves it. He's dominating people. He dominated Kai Kara-France. He dominated Kai Asakura. He dominated Royval, and he dominated Brandon Moreno. Even if he didn't dominate Brandon Moreno in their final fight, Brandon Moreno has lost to Pantoja 3 times. This guy has lapped the flyweight division, and he needs to go up to fight Merab at bantamweight. He doesn't want to fight at bantamweight, which I don't understand. This kid wants to keep beating flyweight bums, and when he could be cementing himself as the greatest of all time, almost, dude. Obviously not the greatest of all time, but if Pantoja went up and beat Merab for the bantamweight title and became a double champ, who's to say this guy isn't top 10 of all time? I mean, that's not far-fetched. Number 2, this is where it gets spicy, guys. I have Islam Makhachev. Like I said at the beginning of the video, it's preference. It truly is preference on who you think deserves to be pound-for-pound number 1. In my opinion, it's Ilia Topuria. Some people's opinion, and it might be Islam Makhachev. You look at their wins. I pretty much went over this at the beginning of the video, so I'm not going to talk about this too much. I'm not going to compare Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev too much. But Islam Makhachev, 4 title defenses, greatest lightweight of all time in my opinion. Ilia Topuria at number 1. Ilia Topuria is now. He's so good. He's so good, dude. This guy is literally one of the greatest of all time, and he's only 28. Isn't that crazy, dude? Ilia Topuria is here. He's pound for pound number 1 in my opinion. If you have Islam Makhachev pound for pound number 1, I'm not gonna hate you. And yeah, man, I want to make more like ranking videos like this. I want to make more top 10 videos, top 15 videos. So I'm gonna be releasing my GOAT list probably by the end of the week. I think it's okay to do a GOAT list every couple months because the GOAT list in MMA is always changing. But that's gonna do it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe and comment. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. MMA Outpost out.